And this one is a competitive game where the town is overrun with bunnies and these bunnies are constantly multiplying. The goal of this game is to accumulate the least amount of bunnies than all the other players, and then that allows you to win the game. But the way this game plays is through tile placement, because players are going to be managing a hand of 3 tiles, and then there's also going to be a display. And anytime that you play a tile, you're going to be taking a new tile from the display. Players are going to be placing these tiles out on the board, but what's interesting about this is that you have very limited placement options, because the main board is just a cross of spaces and players can only put tiles into those spaces. Players will also each have their own meeples, and these are going to be starting at the center of the board. But what's really neat about the tile placement in this game is that anytime that you place a tile, your meeple is going to be moving from its current position to the tile that you just placed, activating all the abilities of the tiles that it moves through. This is normally not a good thing because each of the tiles can actually have 2 different abilities. There's a placement ability, and then there's the ability that is activated when you move through it. The placement ability is normally a good thing for you that allows you to jump over tiles or force your opponents to move into tiles, whereas the ability that you activate for moving through it is normally a bad thing that's probably going to be gaining you bunnies into your supply, which, like I said, you want to have the least amount of at the end of the game. The game continues like this, with players continually adding tiles to an empty space out on the board, but once all the spaces are completely full, players can then start placing tiles on top of other tiles, and each of the tiles are going to have a suit associated with them. And if you place a tile on top of a tile with a matching suit, then you're going to be offsetting those tiles, indicating that that space can no longer have any more tiles placed on it, but then the new tile is also going to become the new ability of that location. If the suits of the tiles don't match, then it just gets stacked on top of the other tile, replacing that tile, and players can continue to place tiles on that location, but anyone that places a tile that doesn't have a matching suit is going to have to gain the amount of bunnies indicated on that tile. Of course, this means that that's something that you don't want to happen to you, but you want to force your opponents into that position as much as possible. The game ends once all the tiles run out, or if there's no valid placements left to place your tiles, then the player with the fewest bunnies wins the game. And there are a few additional expansions that players can mix into this game as well, adding in a more real-time element with a sand timer, and then also incorporating a fox token as well, which players can use to push other bunnies around or eliminate them from the board. If this one sounds interesting to you, definitely check it out, and I'll have it linked in the description down below.